Hi there, everybody. It's Marc Laurenson here, and thank you for joining me as we look towards the sky for the month of December of 2020. Now, this particular month is a very, very important month, and the main reason is we're having the grand conjunction of the two giants in the middle of our solar system, and we're talking about Saturn and Jupiter that are coming into conjunction on the solstice day. They're coming into conjunction on the 21st of December, which underscores their importance. Now, this is a pretty rare conjunction. It happens once every 20 years. So the last time we had it was way back in 2000, 2001. The time before that was 80, 81. Before that was 60, 61, and you can go back from there. So you can see that every time we have this conjunction, it's almost like the next cycle, the next tier of the cycle is moving upwards. Now, you can look on this like a synodic cycle. It's a synode between the two planets. The synodic cycle between the sun and the moon, of course, we can watch from new moon to full moon and back to new moon again. You can actually see this going on with other planets in the sky as well. With the conjunction, it's like a new moon. It's like the beginning. It's the beginning of a whole new period of time. And as the faster moving planet begins to move around the sky and around the chart, it takes a little bit of time. It goes through all the phases, so to speak, makes all the aspects, and it takes a little bit of time to catch back up to the slower moving planet again. And so this takes 20 years for it to happen between Jupiter and Saturn. Another thing that I want to underscore with this particular conjunction is the fact that it's happening at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, this is really important because what's happening here is we're not only just entering into a brand new 20-year phase of these two planets, but we're also entering a whole new elemental dynamic or elemental energy, because we're entering into the air energy. Now, it's been in the earth energy. These two planets have been coming into conjunction in earth signs for roughly the last 240 years, except for a dress rehearsal we had in Libra in 8081. It popped into Libra, kind of a little bit like a practice before this one we're having now in Aquarius. And it's going to be in air signs from now on for the next 100 or so years. So we're entering into not only a brand new cycle, as I said, as far as Jupiter and Saturn are concerned and what they're all about, but we're also entering into a brand new cycle as far as moving into a new dynamic as far as the element is concerned as well. Now, also what's happening on this particular day I found really interesting too is the sun, of course, will be at 0 Capricorn, which is where it always is on the solstice day. It's the beginning of a new season. And Mercury is actually at 0 Capricorn as well on that day. It's the exact conjunction. It's in the what's called the superior conjunction with the sun on that day. And what I'm getting from this is that the volume of Mercury has been turned right up. It's like it really needs to hear what's going on. It really needs to take in the information. I found that really interesting. Another thing I thought was interesting too was the moon has just gone past a couple of degrees to, I think it's about 4 or 5 degrees past the conjunction to Neptune, which made me feel that there was something bigger going on here. Moon Neptune, something way out of the boundaries of what we can understand. It feels like it's beyond the 5 senses. And it feels like our only way to really understand it is to come in contact with our inner selves, with our intuition or our inner voice to give us some ideas about what we're learning here. I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So as I said, it happens every 20 years, so it's going to be happening again around 4041. It's going to be happening in another air sign. It's going to be happening in Libra. And so the whole idea of us starting a brand new tier of energy in air makes me feel that this particular shift is going to be quite dramatic, I imagine. And it's really interesting to see what's happening in the world at the moment as this is going on. I mean, COVID is still rife at the moment, but it looks like there might be something happening in 2021 that might turn things around. So that could be a part of it. The change of government in the United States is a big turn around too, big turn for the books, which is really interesting as well. So you can kind of see something going on with the Aquarian energy or the air energy that's already starting to make moves more in the areas of freedom, new ideas, higher vision, a feeling of liberation, a feeling of revolution. These are all the Aquarian. Traits or the Aquarian energy that I think is trying to come into our lives at the moment with this particular conjunction starting at the end of this month. Now, when you think of Jupiter and Saturn together, I know people with Jupiter and Saturn conjunct in their natal charts, and none of them seem to be terribly happy about it because they think, that everyone has their Jupiter in their charts, which allows them a little bit more space and allows them a little bit more area to expand and explore. And they've got Saturn right next door, which is kind of restricting it or constricting it in some kind of way. So they feel a little bit like Saturn is cancelling out the Jupiter optimism or the Jupiter hope. Now, I don't see it like that at all. And when I do readings with people with this particular conjunction in their chart, I don't see it the way that other people do. I actually see it as a really good thing. Like I tend to with everything in the chart because I'm an evolutionary astrologer, and I think any astrologer worth their money has to be able to see the promise in the chart. And so when I look at Saturn and Jupiter together, what I'm doing is actually seeing the inspiration of Jupiter or the hope of Jupiter or the faith of Jupiter or the big ideas of Jupiter or the big concepts of Jupiter actually being put into something that has got a little bit of construct to it, that you can be productive with it, that you can put it into some kind of working order. I don't see it as a dampener at all. I see it as actually being put into something that can really work for you. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of application involved as well, but at the same time, that if you can get this energy into, give it some kind of framework, if you can give this energy a package of sorts to be able to put this big, expansive and inspired information or inspired energy into, I've got a feeling that it can go places. And I've seen it happen. So it's an energy that I want to actually celebrate more than anything else. Now, let's talk about it on the level of what's actually happening. And I'm going to go through it in everybody's houses, everybody's natal houses in a minute as well. So, as I said, it's in the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius is the rebel. Basically, it's the rebel of the zodiac. It is about being able to come into our truth and into our authenticity and be the real us without having to worry about what other people think of us or the reactions or the responses of other people. It's about being 100% true to our authenticity. It's about not having to edit ourselves in any way, or it's not about apologizing. It's about coming into a place where we are totally free to be ourselves. Now, Uranus is also very socially conscious. Uranus is always looking for ways, not Uranus, sorry, Aquarius. Aquarius is very socially conscious. Uranus, of course, is the ruler. And Aquarius is very socially conscious. Aquarius is always looking at ways to be able to push things forward. You know, Aquarius is a very futuristic sign. It is also about making a difference. It is also being around the right people. And when I say the right people, I'm talking about allies. You know, friends and allies, the right people that you can be with, that support you, support your ideas, and you can support them. So it's a matter of everybody coming together and being able to be spokes in a wheel, you know, for the sake of the wheel. And so you get a feeling of this particular energy in Aquarius that wants to go down that road for all of us at this particular time. It's a really, really important time. We have Pluto moving into Aquarius, but not until 2023 or 23 into 24. And so, again, this could be like a leader to a more intense or more dramatic change in those particular years. Now, when you're looking at Jupiter and Saturn, what are we actually looking at with these two planets when they come together? It's the beginning of a cycle. It's the beginning of a brand new cycle. But what are we beginning? Now, when you're looking at Jupiter, you've really got to look at what Jupiter is after, because Jupiter truly, I think everyone's dumbed Jupiter down a little bit just to be like this kind of like the Santa Claus, basically. You know what I mean? It's kind of a little bit like this planet in our charts that goes around and just throws prezzies, you know, out of the car at us all. And it's just about abundance, and it's about getting all the goodies wherever it is. But I want to take it a little bit further than that, because we know that Jupiter does have an element of good fortune or good luck, but I always feel you have to be on the bus to get it, if you know what I mean. You have to actually do something around being there for the opportunities to come your way. But more than the opportunities of Jupiter, I want to talk about Jupiter is more about our meaning in life. You know, Jupiter is searching, it's questing for meaning, it's questing for a higher understanding, it's questing for a belief in life, it's questing for faith. As I said, it's very optimistic, it's very hopeful. And so when you come into this energy, there's an energy of confidence that comes with this that helps us along the way. Now, when you're looking at it with Saturn, you've got to realize that Saturn is a very, very different energy. Saturn is the energy of responsibility. Saturn is the energy of accountability and the energy of actually doing something, having to apply ourselves in some kind of way to get results. It's about persistence and endurance, and it's about integrity and honesty, and it's about a feeling of being able to, when I say play by the rules. Now, Jupiter's got this as well, funnily enough. Jupiter is about our laws, but I want to go down the road of saying more of our principles and our ethics. Now, here is what I really, really want to underscore. I really want to talk about Jupiter on the level of what do we stand for? What do we stand for? What is the philosophical framework that our life rests on? Why are we alive? Why are we here on the planet? These are all questions that Jupiter asks. Jupiter asks these kind of questions. Jupiter asks things around the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? And for you, you have to have some kind of faith or belief system to keep you going. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be religious. This just has to be something that feels true for you. This is why I'm alive. And so what do you stand for means I stand for equality and freedom for everybody. That's what I stand for. That could be your motto, or that could be your mission statement. But that means that you have to, with Saturn involved, that means that you have to live by that. that means you're responsible for that statement. You're responsible for that, for that as your personal motto. And so when you're looking at Saturn and Jupiter together, it's a little bit like we have to walk our talk. It's a little bit like we have to, in our own ways, we have to feel that what we believe in and what we want our lives to look like and the kind of people we want to be, it's almost like now we're responsible for that. We're responsible. If you ask somebody on the street, what do you stand for? What are your principles? Why are you alive? They'd look at you as if you were speaking another language. You know what I mean? They have no idea. It's kind of like, mate, I'm just trying to survive here, Got a wife and 3 kids. I'm just trying to pay a mortgage, that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of people doing that, exactly that. But really and truly, what Saturn and Jupiter is doing, the beginning of a brand new cycle, is about us being in our own ways becoming conscious of something beyond that. It's about becoming conscious that we're on the planet for a reason, and we do have to live by our own personal laws, and our own personal laws have to feel good to us, and they have to feel meaningful. And Saturn is about having to live here on the planet and doing the work involved in being productive and being accountable and doing something on the level of having a goal or achieving something that has this feeling about it that makes us feel good about why we're here. Now, you want to be at 103 and you're taking your last breath. You want to leave smiling. You want to go out with a big smile on your face, knowing that your life was purposeful. You want to do that. And I honestly believe that every time Jupiter and Saturn come together, they reboot this in us. They reboot this particular idea in us. They plant an idea in a way of being able to go, this is what is meaningful for you, or this is what is important for you now. And the next 20 years for you, in some kind of way, is going to instill this particular energy or this particular course, it feels like maybe a course or a project could be involved in you. So you get it. So you understand it. So you become closer and closer and closer to why you're here. Now, as I said, it's Aquarian, so it's very much, it's leaving the earth energy and it's going into the air energy, so it becomes a little bit more around our thoughts and our ideas and the group consciousness, the group mind. That's all going to be coming into it as well. So when I think of Jupiter and Saturn together, and when I try to think of what it would look like, I get the idea of a balloon, like a helium balloon that goes up in the air with people in it. And the air, the helium, the air is Jupiter. I mean, it's very Neptunian as well, but in this case, it's Jupiter. Jupiter is the air that lifts the balloon off the ground, gets it up, and allows it to travel. Very Jupiterian, allows it to travel, see things from greater heights. And the rubber of the balloon is Saturn, because Saturn contains the Jupiter energy. Saturn contains the air, and Saturn keeps it all structured. Saturn keeps it all together. Saturn keeps it in its place, so to speak. Saturn gives it its coating. Without Saturn, there is no balloon. There is no balloon. You just got a whole lot of air going up in the sky, and there is no balloon. And so we need the rubber of the balloon to keep everything in place, okay? And without the air, we just have rubber. We just have deflated rubber on the ground. You know what I mean? And so to get the balloon up and to get the balloon floating, we need both Jupiter and we need Saturn. And so that's how I see Jupiter and Saturn together, if you want to actually put it in a particular picture. Now, I'm just going to quickly go through all the houses where this particular conjunction will take place. Now, the conjunction, as I said, is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So wherever 0 degrees of Aquarius is in your chart, that's where I'm going to be talking about. Now, you will have to know your chart. Pardon me. You'll have to know your chart to be able to understand this well. So if you do know your chart and you know where 0 degrees of Aquarius is, then I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of how Jupiter and Saturn that are conjunct in that particular house may feel like. Now, it's going to be very, very strong for the month, for sure, but I just want to play with the idea that this could be the very beginning of the next 20 years for you, on the level of maybe something that could be the platform, the beginning platform for what the next 20 years actually might have to offer as far as Jupiter and Saturn is concerned. Okay, so if you have it in the first house, Jupiter and Saturn landing in the first house by transit at this particular time. The first house is the identity house. It's about you and who you are. It's about you as a single identity, and it's about you activating yourself out into the world. It's a very action-oriented house. So here we have Jupiter and Saturn making you feel in a way like there is something that you have to do on the level of getting yourself moving or getting yourself going. So you might feel in a way that you might get this feeling of inspiration or this rush of energy of getting out into life in a more meaningful way or more purposeful way. But you feel that there might be something that you have to work at. You know what I mean? There might be something that you have to roll up your sleeves and actually have a good look at where you're going. You know, put it into a goal or put it into some kind of maybe an achievement of sorts. But it's more about you being able to initiate, you being able to get things started. And I feel that you need to be able to open your mind to higher ideas, you know, get excited, get enthused about where it can go, and be brave, be courageous. I think that's a really, really important thing. Your willpower and your courage is going to be a big part of this as well. So the new beginning thing, you know, the new beginning thing of the brand new cycle, 20-year cycle of these two planets are actually landing in the very beginning area of your chart. Now, if you've got these two planets by transit landing in your second house, then it's going to be a big, big part of your value system. What do you value about life? This is really, really important. What's valuable about life and what's valuable about yourself? Now, this is beyond money, everybody, so don't think, oh, you know, Mark's going to talk about how I'm going to make money. No, I'm not. I'm not, because the second house is basically about our worth and our value and our resources. It does govern money because we do have to put a roof over our head and food in our mouths. We do have to have money. But really and truly, I want to talk about how we make money. I want to talk about the parts of us, the valuable parts of us that we use to make money. So here's Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is trying to expand your understanding, or expand your enthusiasm, or expand your way of thinking or believing in this particular area. Start believing in yourself a little bit more. Our self-worth issues are in the second house. All our self-value issues are in the second house. So start to locate what's important about you. I am valuable because look at your gifts, look at your talents, look at your abilities, and look at ways you can put them into some kind of form or some kind of structure. There is something important about what you have to offer. You're a very valuable commodity based on what's going on here. And you need to be able to locate what it is and start to feel confident, start to feel good about yourself, and be able to put any talents into some kind of working order. Okay? If it's in your third house, what I want to say here, I want to say that this is an area of really getting it. I always think the third house is a real penny dropping area. You know what I mean? This is the area where you go, oh, that makes sense. You know, it wants to understand. The third house really does want to understand. And so here, it's kind of opening your mind or opening your perceptions or your ideas to something that's meaningful or important, or actually might feel adventurous, that you can actually see on a bigger picture level. You can get quite excited about it. You might want to write, you might want to teach, you might want to talk. You know, anything to do on the communication level will come into this. But Saturn is going that anything that comes in, all the information you're taking in, is important. It's important information, and you have to do something with it on the level of kind of structuring it or grounding it in some kind of way. This could be a really good time to maybe have a website or do some podcasting, or maybe put pen to paper, that kind of thing. I feel that this is an area where you can put any communicative talents that you have into something that could actually end up being quite special. Let's go to the fourth house now. So if you have Jupiter and Saturn coming into conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius in the fourth house, you've got to remember the Aquarius side of it too. In the fourth house, there is a freedom element here in the fourth house. So interestingly enough, I don't want to even talk about family here. And everyone goes, why? Isn't the fourth house about family? Yes, it is. It is about family. It is about where we come from. But really and truly, the fourth house is about feeling emotionally safe with ourselves, being very emotionally comfortable. It's like coming home. And I want to say this is like coming home to ourselves. We need to come home to ourselves. This is where we belong. So many people are looking for it outside of themselves, particularly with family. And family are never going to give it to us. You know what I mean? Most people's families are not where we belong. And so there is something going on here around us coming into a place, and it could actually be a home. We might find a nice place to, a soft place to fall in, a home area. That could work. But I just want to talk about it a little bit more on the level of being able to come into a deeply secure, and when I say rooted place, it's a feeling of the roots of the tree, that feeling, that grounded feeling. And here we have Jupiter giving us a feeling of hope or meaning in this particular area of feeling safe with ourselves, emotionally safe with ourselves, giving us a bigger picture idea of what that's all about. And Saturn is about that level of I can rely on myself, I can depend on myself. I only have myself to look after kind of thing. And there's something about you now being able to come into a new version of yourself on this level, on this moon level, on this emotionally safe and calm level. So it's very, very important. I think it's very important to look at this particular house as a strong area of the chart, a very strong area. As I said, it's the roots of the tree. And so to become emotionally grounded and come home to yourself. And it has a lot to do with self-care, self-care, self-love, self-nurturance, giving you what you need to thrive. That's a very, very important part of the fourth house. Now in the fifth house, if you've got Saturn and Jupiter come into conjunction in your fifth house, then what's going to be happening here is that you're going to be needing in some way to have this new kind of understanding of yourself, a new freedom based on who you are, on the feeling of being important, the feeling of being significant, the feeling of being special. Every single one of us, just by being us, has something important to give just by who we are. And, it's a celebration of who we are. It's a celebration of the personality. And there's lots of love going on in the fifth house. Often we look for it in the fifth house, meaning we go out and we look for it. We want applause. We want approval. We want a pat on the back. We want people to like us and admire us and appreciate us. But it's really the other way around. It's really about us doing it for ourselves and being able to give it. So there is something about the fifth house energy that's happening here with the Jupiter there that's giving you a buoyant kind of lift in some kind of way in this area by feeling that I can be a creative force in my own right. And Saturn is saying, of course you can, but you need to be able to put it into some kind of structured working form. You need to become accountable for this. The Uranian energy, the Aquarian energy, is giving you a little bit of room to move. You know, it's giving you a little bit of room to actually like yourself as yourself without having to be trapped in trying to be somebody or not, that kind of thing. There is real value and purpose and meaning in you being able to believe how creative you are on all levels. And so this is an important time with these two planets landing in your fifth house. In your sixth house, it's about you getting yourself into what I would call some kind of working order. With Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in the sixth house, it is trying to get you to clean up your act. And I mean this in a really good way because I feel that the sixth house is a very work-oriented house. It is about rolling up your sleeves and helping out. So what I think here for people with their Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in the sixth house is that you need to be able to find something that you're good at. You need to be able to find a skill or a trade or something practical to learn and hone it and become competent at it, you know, that kind of thing. Jupiter tells me it has to feel that it's purposeful or meaningful or giving you something on that level, you know, without giving you that inspiration or the excitement that you need in this particular area. And Saturn makes me feel that there is something in it that you can take forward in a really productive way. It might actually be something you can use for the rest of your life, so to speak. But it is about getting yourself into order. It is about you being able to look after yourself, get a routine in your life going. Look after your body, look after your health, treat your body like a temple, that kind of thing. It's about you being able to realize again that you're useful and you've got something important to offer again in what you do. And it feels to me like there was something about you feeling a little bit like this is one of the things that I've come here to do, one of the things I've come onto the planet to do. And it feels very giving. It feels like a very, very giving part of you. If it's landing in the seventh house, if the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in Aquarius lands in the seventh house, this is a brand new way of you being able to come to terms with yourself on the level of how you deal with relationships. Now, this is not necessarily about the other person. This is about you, and the relationship area is the arena. It's the stage. It's the context. And so what I want to say here is that I want to say that this is about you being able to, in your own way, being able to start to look at the people that you become closely involved with and look at how you react to them and respond to them, and they react and respond to you. This is about you being able to have what I would call purposeful or meaningful relationships, relationships that you're getting something from in a positive way. And it's about you being able to be, I want to say cut and dried, because of the Saturn. I want you to actually start to become very decisive about the people that you want to be with. And I'm talking about you want to get close to, because I feel that this could be a time for you to start to look at your relationships on all levels and start to look at the ones that are meaningful and purposeful and bring something positive into your life, and look at the ones that are basically wasting your time, or really they're not giving you what you need on the level of your growth or your expansion. Now, we're always growing and we're always learning in relationships, that's for sure. But you know what I mean? It's about staying too long in stuff that's not giving you anything that is making you feel like you're moving forward, if you know what I mean. When you're looking at the Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius conjunct in the 8th house. Now, this is a different area altogether. This is a very, very deep area, as we know. So here we're looking at the freedom element or the expansion element that's coming into an area where we deal with other people on the level of what we need from them and what they need from us. This is, it's classically the house of other people's money, as we know, but we're not going to be talking on that level. I'm just going to be talking about how much you rely or depend on somebody and how much they rely on and depend on you. And so this is the equalization of power and control. It's a little bit like how much I'm putting in and how much I'm getting back, and vice versa. And so here you might want to look at areas where you're feeling the imbalance of power with other people can be rocked. And this is not necessarily just going to be in personal relationships. It can be in business relationships as well. It can be in any relationships where the swapping or the equalization of values, where you give something and you get something equal in return. Now, I want to say that this is a really important time for you to reboot in this particular area, to restart, to free yourself up from any areas where you feel on a certain level like you might be under the power of somebody else or the control of somebody else or something else. Could actually be money in this case. And to be able to come into a new version of this, to be able to come into a new version of being able to be stronger and more secure in this particular area, knowing that you don't have to need anybody from anything or want anybody from anything, and vice versa. It's a freedom of that. It's the freedom of being able to release yourself from the chains or the ties that bind you to somebody else on that level. Now, if you have Saturn and Jupiter coming into conjunction in Aquarius in the 9th house, this has got that Jupiter flavor to it already, hasn't it? This has got that feeling of being able to open your mind up to higher concepts and higher theories and higher beliefs and going out and searching for the meaning of life. So there might be something in you that gets triggered on the level of learning, higher learning. You might want to do a course, or you might, some people might even want to go back to uni, or travel could actually be a big part. Difficult at the moment because of COVID, of course, but it might be further down the line. That feeling of there is something more to life. There is beyond my horizons, that kind of feeling. I need to get out there and explore and expand. I need to find my own truth. I need to know what I believe in. I need to know what I stand for. I need to have an opinion. And I need to come into a place where I can actually allow myself the freedom to be able to come up with what feels right for me, and then be able to formulate it, be able to put it into practice, be able to put it into my life in a concrete way. Now, again, this might have something to do with learning or teaching or writing or broadcasting, all that kind of stuff. So you can bring all that into it as well. But it just feels that this is a brand new way of being able to look at life in a whole new way, from a whole new perspective. And it can actually be one of these times, I believe, that could actually open doors for you. When you're looking at Saturn and Jupiter coming into conjunction in your 10th house, at 0 degrees of Aquarius, here is your mission. Here is your mission in life that's being looked at. What's going on here is there is a feeling of, where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I heading? These are big, big questions for you this month. And also probably, as I said, maybe at the beginning of the next 20 years of your life, this is an idea being planted in your head. It's a feeling of, I'm here for a reason, I'm here for a purpose, and I feel in a way that there is something that important that I have to do out there, in the public world. I have to make my mark in some kind of way. This doesn't mean, again, this doesn't mean you have to climb corporate ladders, or it doesn't even mean you have to get involved in the concrete world, but it does mean that there is something on the level of contributing, achieving, and you could actually do it in a very subtle, rather quiet way, but it has to feel in a way that there is something on the level of your personal achievements that are part of this. Jupiter is opening the door for you here. Jupiter is giving you an understanding that you can do it, that there are things within your grasp. There's nothing beyond what you can't do, what you can do, that kind of feeling, giving you the confidence here. Saturn is always saying, you have to be able to realize that you need to contain it, you need to structure it, you need to put it into some kind of form that is actually going to work and be worthwhile and be practical and be important and meaningful. And so all those things are coming into it. But it's very, very much about you feeling on a certain level being responsible for your role. So here we are with the 11th house, with Jupiter and Saturn coming into conjunction in your 11th house in Aquarius. So here I want to say that the 11th house has that feeling, again, of the future. It has that feeling of the future on how can I make an impact socially or communally out there, amongst the people, that kind of feeling. How can I make a difference? How can I be part of something? A little bit like maybe a cause or a project or a vision or a venture. Jupiter is giving you a wider version of that. It's opening up the cinemascope curtains to give you a good look at what's happening out there and how you can be part of it. And so it's about what is important to you, what is meaningful for you. And it's also about being with the right people, being with your people, being with people that you resonate with, that are on the same page as you, having allies. And Saturn is saying that there has to be something here that you concrete. There has to be something here that is not frivolous, that is not something you're just going to turn up to and then just go, oh, I'm over this. This is something that's important, you know what I mean? This is something I feel for you that you might actually do something with for a long, long period of time. The 10th and the 11th houses have got that longevity kind of feeling about them. And Saturn being there is always looking at how long something can last, the time factor thing. So it might actually take you down a brand new path or a brand new direction or avenue into something new, which you might actually think, oh, wow, this is fantastic. This is giving me so much purpose and meaning in my life. Now, if it's coming into conjunction in your 12th house, if 0 degrees of Aquarius is in your 12th house, I want to say that there is something going on for you here where you're going to be spoken to from your inside out. You'll be spoken to in your quiet time. You'll be spoken to through dreams, through meditations, through quiet walks, in nature or along the beach. This is where you'll get your signs. There's a feeling here of being able to come into a place within yourself where you're more sensitized to life, where you can see everybody the same. It's almost like, we're all in the same boat, you know what I mean? We're all going through this story together. And it's almost like letting people off the hook, including yourself, on the level of everyone's trying their best, that kind of thing. It's an understanding of seeing things from an elevated perspective, looking down on your life. Jupiter is actually giving you a broader version of this, being able to understand life from that perspective, being able to understand life from the soul perspective. And Saturn, again, is actually going, but you are on the earth plane now, you know what I mean? You are here in a body on the earth plane now, and you have to join these two worlds together. So I want to say that it could be something to do with your calling, involved here. And your calling could be anything. It could be just something that speaks to you from the inside on the level of you feeling in a way that, I've always known this. I've always known I've wanted to do this, or I've always known I've wanted to go there, or I've always wanted to know this was part of my life, One of those things probably you've known since childhood. And it feels like something is trying to erupt, something is trying to come up. And it feels good. It feels really nice. It feels very promising. Saturn is saying it needs to be structured. It needs to be put into kind of concrete, workable form. And I feel that if something happens this month on that level, and it does take you forward with this particular area, I feel it'll be a really a big stride down your evolutionary path. I feel it will have a lot to do with your spiritual story and getting closer to what you've come here to do and who you've come here to be. So there you go, everybody. So happy Saturn and Jupiter conjunction until 2040. And enjoy December. Happy Christmas, everybody. And I'll see you in the new year.